Greetings from Mount Auburn Hospital. My name is Jeanette Clough and I'm president of Mount Auburn Hospital. I am thrilled to welcome you tonight to Virtually Pink Pages. I think some of you know that we have been doing the Alice Hoffman and her favorite authors Pink Pages event for the last 20 years. Tonight was to have been our 20th anniversary celebration at Pink Pages. However, this year was a little different, as many of you, as you all know. And so we put our heads together and decided, nope, the show must go on. Just as patient care continues, we must continue to celebrate our Pink Pages event. And so here you have tonight, Virtually Pink Pages. I am so proud of our care in the Hoffman Breast Center. It's barely a day that goes by that I don't get a tap on the shoulder or a letter or a note card saying what incredible care the patient was given at Mount Auburn and through the Hoffman Breast Center. Your donations and your support over so many years has allowed us to stay state-of-the-art in terms of our technology, to offer programs in wellness and nutrition, to really educate and help patients navigate our systems. All of that including a commitment to accept any patient regardless of ability to pay. So we have been true to all of those over the years, and we thank you, our donors, our friends, our neighbors, our supporters, for your support. And now I'd like to turn it over to three fabulous, intelligent, smart women who are with us tonight: Alice Hoffman, Ann Leary, and Joyce Kulhawik. They're going to share some stories with us and tell us, give us some insights and keep us in the pink. So enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jeanette. And as you know, I love this event, Pink Pages, and I'm so happy to do it anywhere, live from the stage of the American Rep Theater in Cambridge, or here in my virtual home office where I've been doing everything. It's been like Joyce Kulhawik, Intergalactic Enterprises. There's been so much virtually to keep us all busy. And I don't mean just books and just TV or just movies that you watch online, but all of the performing arts are actually online. You can watch dances and music. Yo-Yo Ma just gave a live concert this weekend. You can take tours through museums. And of course, there is conversation, which brings us to what Pink Pages is tonight. Our Pink Pages this evening is going to feature two of the authors that were actually slated for our live event, Alice Hoffman, of course, and Ann Leary. There would be no Pink Pages without Alice Hoffman. She created it. She drives it. She defines it. And we are all lined up behind Alice Hoffman every step of the way. Alice's most recent book is The World That We Knew. On October 6th, she's going to release the third book in her Practical Magic series, and it is called Magic Lessons, which will be published by Simon & Schuster. Alice, as you know, is a breast cancer survivor, and she has survived that disease 22 years out now, and we are so glad. It was her treatment at Mount Auburn Hospital that actually was the impetus for the creation of the Hoffman Breast Center. Alice has also written 30 books of fiction. She has been an Oprah Book Club choice. She has won countless awards. Her books have been made into movies. But I think if you were to ask Alice what her proudest achievement is, she would say the Hoffman Breast Center. Ann Leary is the author of so many novels: The Children, The Good House, Outtakes from a Marriage, and also a memoir called An Innocent, Abroad. Her best-selling novel, The Good House, has recently been adapted as a motion picture, and that's going to star Sigourney Weaver and Kevin Kline. Ann's New York Times essay, Rallying to Keep the Game Alive, was adapted for the Amazon Modern Love TV series, and it's going to star Tina Fey and John Slattery. Her work has been translated into 18 languages, and she's been published everywhere. Among the numerous publications: Plowshares, National Public Radio, Real Simple, and of course, the New York Times. So I just want to say welcome, Alice and Ann Leary. Hey, ladies.
Hey, thank you. Hi, Alice. Hi, nice to be here with you both.
I'll tell you, this is so wild. This time is so surreal. But if you could just anchor us, Alice, in what Pink Pages has been for anybody who may not have been to a Pink Pages, although I suspect many of our viewers right now have been there before, and this has gone on for many years. Pink Pages has featured so many authors. Tell us some of the authors that were going to appear and some who have appeared in the past.
It's been so special, and I have to say thank you to both of you. Joyce, you have been our host for so many years. We wouldn't be Pink Pages without you. And Ann, I think you've been there twice before. This was going to be your third time, because this was our 20th anniversary. We wanted to have our best writer friends come. You were one of them. We were going to have Ann and Jodi Picoult and Eleanor Littman, Elizabeth Berg, Christina Baker Klein. I'm sure I'm forgetting someone. It was just going to be an incredible night, and just very special because it's our 20th, and we have been really fortunate to be with the American Repertory Theater, and that's where we've been having our events. I think it's really different than other events because it's very intimate, and we have had so many writers over the years. I really can't even count them. We've had everyone from Amy Tan to Rosie O'Donnell to, just everyone has come and given so generously of their time, and it's very intimate in the theater. And people usually read not so much from their books, but something that's very special to them. Mm-hmm. So I just feel very lucky to have this great community of writers who have really come to the forefront and helped us raise money for a breast center that doesn't turn anyone away.
This event, I always love it because I get to see people like Ann Leary and Alice Hoffman in the flesh. I mean, actually out from behind your words. So, because we don't always know what you're really like. So I just think, what is it like when you're actually delivering the words on stage? So that's always an amazing thing for, I think, all of us there. Ann, how has your life changed now that you're in this lockdown? I mean, the obvious ways, but are you doing everything virtually now? Are you doing a lot of virtual events?
I've done some virtual events, and this one actually makes me really sad because it's the Pink Pages event is usually at the American Repertory Theater, and most authors do readings, but it's not often you're at the ART with a full house, which Alice always has for her event. It's always I was really sad. I mean, it was scheduled months ago. I actually know people who buy tickets the minute it is posted, and they had already purchased tickets. So people love this event, and so yeah, that really was sad when I learned that it was canceled, and I was really happy to learn that we can do this instead. Otherwise, as a writer, probably my life isn't much isn't as transformed as much as most people, except that my husband and I were empty nesters, and now we have our grown son and daughter and our daughter's boyfriend who have been with us for a couple of months, and what I'm going to read is sort of related.
Oh, very interesting. So, and in case you didn't know, Ann is married to the comedian Dennis Leary. So are you two still speaking? And is you laughing?
Yeah. No, it's good. We actually, it's almost like we're the kids now, because the kids are very much our taskmasters when it comes to germs and exposure. And so we're like, if we like go sneak off and play tennis, it's like we're like we don't tell our kids.
You're kidding.
We do it the safe way.
You're bad.
We do it on a private. It's safe. Don't tell the kids.
So I'm wondering about, because writing is such a solitary business. Really anyway, but I want to know what this lockdown has freed both of you to do beyond writing. What are the things that you find you can do now that you maybe didn't do before? Has this been freeing in some way?
Well, I feel like I'm more in touch with people, that I'm more on the phone with people. I kind of had given up the telephone, and I'm not very in touch usually. And I feel I'm more in touch, and in touch with older friends from a long time ago. And I also feel there's a lot of business going on online, and people are now home, so they have time to work with you. But really, like Ann, I feel like my life isn't that radically different because I stay home and write all day anyway.
Mm-hmm. And what about you, Ann?
I agree with Alice. I feel like I'm more in touch with people on the phone than I have been, which has been really nice. I am pretty solitary. I'm a hermit by nature anyway, so I feel more inclined to pick up the phone knowing that the question, you want to come over, won't come up because you should yeah, not really, I kind of like to be in my house. So but yeah, I think but mostly it's that I don't think most people, I mean, on holidays, sure, your kids come home, but to spend months with adult children is kind of a unique circumstance, I think. And so it's been kind of interesting to learn about these people that we raised, but now they're grown up, so we've enjoyed that, I think.
So what do you miss the most? I mean, I can imagine it must be kind of a relief on some level. Yeah, not to have to run out to things or, not to have to beg off things. I mean, I know I find that a real relief. But what do you miss the most now that you're locked down? I mean, what's the first thing you're going to do as soon as we get out of this thing?
Oh, I'm going to have a drink with my girlfriends.
Count me in.
I might drive on up to Marblehead and visit my mom. It's like I do miss not being able to just jump in the car and go places. And on my way, I'll stop and visit Alice and Laura and some of my Boston friends.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, one of the things that I've been doing a lot more of is eating. It's like 10 times. Gee, I think it's time for a snack. What's your favorite comfort food been, or what is your favorite comfort food when you're kind of sick or not feeling well or you're locked in? What do you crave?
Ice cream.
Ice cream. I've been eating trail mix because I thought it was healthy, but it turns out it has 1 million calories in it. So
yeah,
I don't know what I was thinking.
I think they're good for you calories, though.
Yeah, I don't know. And then I made gluten-free brownies because that seemed like that was healthy. But I don't think so.
Are you gluten intolerant?
I think I am now.
Oh.
What was the last thing that either of you Googled?
How to look my best on a Zoom meeting. How to read while doing a Zoom reading.
Yeah, that's a good one. Tom Ford has great tips about how to look good on Zoom, lifting your camera up and getting the right light and sitting up straight and using a piece of white paper on your keyboard. Got to do that.
I don't have paper.
Oh, yeah, you got to do that. And you got to hit that touch up button on Zoom. Touch up my appearance.
On the keyboard or here?
On your keyboard so that it reflects up a little light. So this is a little impromptu thing. So I'm glad you Googled that.
No, but you're better, Joyce. You have better tips.
This is the way to go. If the two of you weren't writers, what do you think you would have done if you weren't writing?
Ann, what would you have done?
I would probably be a dog walker.
Really?
Or something to do with animal care and training. I'm really into animals. I don't know if I weren't a writer. I don't know. I never really. So it kind of was my intention. So, but yeah, I might walk people's dogs. It pays well. I think you can make a pretty good living.
Well, you're a great dog trainer and horse trainer.
Thank you, Alice. I actually take great pride. It kills me that my dog videos aren't viral. Just FYI, Instagram, Ann Leary.
You train dogs?
I train them tricks. I have a trick dog, and so it's whatever.
Yeah, you can watch online.
But it's fun.
Can you train cats?
No.
I have cats.
Horses I've trained tricks.
Yeah. And what about you, Alice? If you weren't a writer, what?
I only had 2 goals when I was growing up from the time I was like 12.
Mm-hmm.
One was to be a writer and the other was to marry Paul McCartney. So I feel like I completed half of my goals. I thought I wanted to be a veterinarian, but I couldn't really do anything that would cause pain to a dog. So
Yeah.
I
I mean, a lot of people want to be veterinarians, I think, but you know, most of us outgrow that at some point when you realize, yeah, what you have to face doing that. But so I'm wondering, Anne, now that you've lived at home with the kids, what are the things that you've learned about the kids that maybe you didn't know before, or what's that been
That's
like?
trouble. I have to, if they'll never see this because they don't read anything I write or pay attention to anything I
They
do.
don't?
I actually say I've learned that they're complete sociopaths and degenerates, but they would never know. But they actually, I've learned that my daughter has gotten into cooking, which has been great. She and her boyfriend are really into it. They plan. I cook just so we can survive, but I don't love to cook. And they really have come up. They make things like Korean meatballs and like amazing things. And so that's been fun. And my son is super kind of an even keel. He's like Mr. I don't know how to put it. I wish I were a writer. I gotta know the words. He's kind of the anchor of the family.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Lovely. That's, yeah. So, Alice, question.
yeah.
What's been the biggest revelation for you about being in this pandemic? And actually, it's a question for both of you. What has revealed itself to you as writers, or maybe has spurred some ideas about what you would write about next? Not that we want you to give anything away, but this is such a potent time and such a surreal moment in our lives. I mean, none of us have ever experienced anything even remotely close to this before. And it's really shifted so many things. So I'm just wondering about what's revealed itself to you.
Well, the interesting thing is my book that's coming out in October takes place in the 1600s during the time of the plague. So I have been kind of thinking about this because I've been thinking a lot. The thing that upset me the most, that made it really hit me that this was real, was when Broadway went dark. Yeah. That doesn't happen every day. And I had just been writing about, in the 1600s, one of my characters is an actor, sort of, and that the theaters are all closed. And he becomes a robber. So I don't know what happens to other actors, but just the whole idea of there not being theater available and that you can't get together and gather together was really disturbing to me. And it just was so strange that I had already been looking into the plague and writing about it and thinking about it. Mm-hmm. And the whole idea that people left the cities and moved into the countryside to try to avoid it. It just was a very strange experience for me.
Yeah, I mean, you were magically prescient, I guess we could say, which is part of your gift. So it's not totally surprising to me that you would have already been somehow mining this territory.
You should have told the president.
Yeah. Good luck with that. So, yeah. And what about you? What has revealed itself to you during this time? What's kind of surprised you the most, or anything along those lines?
I haven't actually published a short story since I don't know, in a long time. But I've came up with an idea for a short story that I'm now working on. And I actually am working on a novel, which is very much due. But it came up and it was inspired by the plague and something that happened in my family during this time. So I kind of like it. So I feel like, well, at least I got something out of it. But so I mean, it was just, I guess when there's such a drastic change in the way we live, it's so quick. It was just such a quick thing. I've been really aware of that, of this sense of one day I went to the store and everyone had masks on the day before they didn't, just a sudden, and then how quickly the humans adapt, how quickly that became so normal and we didn't think about it. It's just, I think all of it, just as a person who's interested in observing the other people, I think it's all been really interesting. The different ways people have been able to adapt, or some have not been able to.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I think that leads us right into wanting to hear from you as writers. Now, this is This is what would have gone on at the live event, and we can easily do this now. But we'd love to have both of you present what you would have presented on stage at the ART. And we're going to start with you, Ann. So please begin.
Okay. I don't think this is what I was going to read, but I thought it fit because it's about empty nest. This was originally published. I wrote this originally for Real Simple magazine, so I hope it's okay. Real Simple if I'm reading this. It's just a shortened version. I'm calling it Empty Nest. You can hear me okay, correct?
We can.
Okay. When we dropped our oldest child, Jack, at college for the first time, we were all very cheery while we unloaded the car, but eventually we found ourselves looking around the dorm room with forced smiles. Is that everything? My husband Dennis and I kept saying. Maybe we left something in the car. We had arrived at the moment we had dreaded, not just all summer, but for the past 18 years. It was time to say goodbye to our son's childhood. I feel like we forgot something, I said, but it was all there, all the stuff of this amazing boy. His guitar, his sneakers, his great sense of humor, his grace and kindness, his intuitive wisdom, his big, generous heart. There it all was. There was nothing else for us to do. It was time to go. 2 years later, we delivered our daughter Devin to her college. Again, I was overcome with emotion when it was time to say goodbye. I remember sobbing as we drove away. Dennis pulled the car over. After a few minutes, I composed myself and said, I'm okay, you can keep driving. But Dennis didn't say anything. You can go, I'm fine, I sniffed. And then I heard a strange sound, a loud hacking and choking sound coming from his direction. I looked over and saw that the man had buried his face in his hands and was bawling like a baby. She just looked so small, he said. And I knew what he meant. Devin, our daughter, is on the tall side, but she looked so tiny and vulnerable when she walked away from our car. There she went up those cold stone steps that led into a monstrous Gothic-looking dormitory. There she went with her backpack and cell phone, her quick, inquisitive mind, her sweet smile. She was born with an old soul, with an uncanny knowledge about people. This child could walk when she was 9 months old. Now she was surrounded by strangers. Why had we taught her to walk? I watched a Seinfeld rerun as I cooked our dinner that night. My eyes were swollen and my nose raw from crying. When the meal was ready, Dennis shuffled into the kitchen and automatically turned the TV off. Wait, I said. And then I uttered the words Dennis had waited 20 years for me to say. Let's watch TV while we eat. And that's when the fun began. In our home, while the kids lived with us, television had been banned during meals. This was a time to talk to one another, to connect. That first night of our empty nest and every night that followed, Dennis and I didn't ask about each other's day or discuss events. Instead, we laughed at the TV with mouths full of food. We slouched over our plates and rested our elbows on the table. We ate with our fingers if we felt like it, and we usually felt like it. When one of us needed the salt, we lurched across the table and grabbed it without asking for it to please be passed. We still placed our napkins on our laps, not because it was polite, but because we made such a mess we were afraid of getting food on our clothes. Within days, our house became a sort of hedonist temple. We swore, not just by accident, when slamming a finger in a drawer or stubbing a toe, we swore all the time. One day, I needed to get something out of the dryer, so I ventured out of our bedroom in my underwear. I did my usual red-faced dash to the dryer and then stopped. Why was I being stealthy? The people who reacted to my body with retching sounds were gone. The one who liked me in my underwear was charging up the stairs to get a closer look. Before long, we walked around our house as naked as jaybirds. We had sex whenever we wanted, wherever we wanted. We sang loudly with music, our music. We danced not as if nobody was watching, but because nobody was watching and laughing at us. We gossiped about our friends, made fun of people's accents, the way people dressed. We were petty and closed-minded again. We hadn't been aware of how hard it was being good until we no longer had to be good. It had been exhausting. Now we were free. I'm sure many people don't alter their behavior much when they become parents. I think those are people who are naturally altruistic, conscientious, and polite. We're not really like that. We wanted to set it, sorry, can I start that part over? I'm sure many people don't alter their behavior much when they become parents. I think those are people who are naturally altruistic, conscientious, and polite. We're not really like that. But for 20 long years, we tried hard to act as if we were. We wanted to set an example for our children, a good example. We weren't perfect, of course, but we worked at being the best people we could be. Our 2 children deserved better than us. We knew that as soon as they were born, but it required a lot of work. So until COVID, we had retired from being good, and too much of that probably isn't so good. Now they're back. We've put on our clothes, cleaned up our language a little, and we turn off the TV during dinner. Our adult children know that we get gossip, swear, and slouch around in our underwear when they're not here. They know we're lazy, petty, sloppy, but we try to rein it in when they're here. It's good for us to try to be good. It's just for old time's sake, just for the children. Now, if we were at the ART, people would be standing and
It's true.
you wouldn't be, long standing ovation.
I'm applauding you. I don't think I've ever heard anybody ever before observe the burden of having to be a good role model for your kids.
It's true. People aren't, if you're thinking of having children, take that into consideration. You have to actually pretend you're a nice person.
You know, it's true. Now that my daughter knows us as adults, she's like, you didn't used to talk like that. You didn't. And I'm thinking, welcome to the real world, but that was fantastic, Ann. And I so wish for you that you and Dennis were home alone during this quarantine.
No.
Yeah. Got it. All right, Alice Hoffman, your turn.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't have done this, but like Ann was saying, sometimes things change. And I think because of the quarantine, I was going to read a little piece from a book I wrote called Survival Lessons, which is, I wrote it as kind of a letter to a friend, the things that I would have wanted to hear when I was diagnosed with cancer. And so it's kind of advice for someone who's recently had some kind of trauma. And I'm just going to read a part called Choose Your Friends. So here I go. I have to take off my glasses. I'm sorry. I really can't see with either way. So when you have a dinner party, only invite people that you want to. Invite those you've always wanted to know. If I could, I would invite the Brontes and Edgar Allan Poe. They would be my first choice for dinner guests. I would want to know about their minds and his life. I would also want to invite Emily Dickinson, even though it said that at some point she only spoke to callers through her bedroom door. That makes me love her even more. I often feel exactly the same way and want to hide away. She took to covering the windows in her bedroom so that she would feel safe. But she also went into the woods and collected hundreds of specimens of wildflowers. And since it's impossible to invite great dead writers, invite alive young people. This is when we can start inviting people again to dinner. Girls with pink hair who have big dreams, young men who plan to change the world, children who get into trouble at school because they have too much energy, too many ideas. People in the middle of their lives are too busy working, buying things, trying to pay their mortgage. They don't often have the time to dream out loud. Your friends' children may now seem more interesting, and they may be the ones who come to visit you. They might ask questions that other people are too polite to bring up. Did you love her? Does it hurt? Are you afraid of what happens next? I especially appreciated the fearlessness of teen readers and writers when I was undergoing treatment for breast cancer. One beautiful girl said to me, "I am the darkest person you will ever meet." But her poems were graceful and elegant, and she hugged me when we parted. Another one told me that my book, Green Angel, about a girl who loses everything and has to reclaim her life by writing, had gotten her through months in a hospital bed. I realized these teens were just starting out and that I might be ending, but I felt a wild sort of joy to see how alike we were, despite the difference in our ages. The fact that they loved books assured me that even if I wasn't able to be part of it, the future would be in good hands. I also found myself drawn to older people. I asked them, how did it feel to see yourself change on the outside so much? And I threw a party for my mother's birthday, inviting both her friends and mine. And we had tea in a New England inn. And it was the last birthday that my mother celebrated. We didn't know it at the time, but we had an idea that it might be true. We didn't count calories or glasses of wine. And then one of the younger women asked if there was anything the older women wished they had done when they were younger and had more energy and time. The older women all agreed upon the answer. They wished they had traveled the world, but more importantly, they wished they had fallen in love more often. Don't hold back, they told us. Live right now. And the truth is, in a time of trauma, some of your closest friends may disappear. These people have their own histories and their own traumas, and they may not be able to deal with yours. They may belong to the before. I still mourn the loss of certain people, friends who didn't call after my diagnosis, who were too afraid to come to the hospital, who couldn't visit me on my worst days. I was hurt and I felt abandoned, but looking back on it, I wish I had let them go more easily. If people aren't there for you in times of trauma, if they aren't there for you now, when you really need them, they never will be, and it's time to move on. And you'll be amazed by how many new friends you'll find in the after. They'll be the ones who aren't afraid of sorrow, who know we can't avoid it. The best we can do is face it together.
Oh, Alice, that is just.
I know, I thought I might cry during it.
I was like, I would be.
Yeah, very.
I think it's true for now, right? The best we can do is be here together.
Absolutely. And the incredible thing you said about, well, there were so many things in there. I was scribbling down notes, but choosing your friends. I mean, we can't choose our families, but we can choose our friends, and we can choose who to associate with and be near, and who's going to nurture and nourish us. And if we can have the courage, and it takes courage, I think, to do that. There's plenty for us. It's like having to know what to say no to so you can make room for the yes in a way.
I'm so grateful to both of you for being my friends. I really am. And I'm so grateful for your involvement with Pink Pages and for everyone who comes. I feel like it has become a family, and people look forward to seeing each other on this occasion. And even though we're going to miss each other this year, except for virtually, we'll get together next year.
Absolutely. I can't wait. I love that night. And I know I speak for so many people when I tell you, Alice, that it is such an opportunity through you and through the Hoffman Breast Center to put some goodness back out into the world that comes from such a dark place initially, that we take it, we heal, we bring it back to ourselves, channel it through these brilliant writers, your souls and your hearts, and put it back out there. And you've just created such a beautiful momentum in the world. So I just want to thank both of you, Ann and Alice, for everything that you do and for doing this little virtual Pink Pages here today. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And to everybody who's tuning in, we just want to see you there next year when this is going to happen, no matter what. And if it doesn't, we'll figure it out. And right now, I am going to throw this back to the head of the Hoffman Breast Center, Susan Pories, to tell you a little bit more about that center. Susan?
Hello, everyone, and thank you for watching Virtual Pink Pages today. I'm Dr. Susan Pories, the director of the Hoffman Breast Center and chief of breast surgery at Mount Auburn Hospital, and I'm so honored to be part of this unique event. I must say I've been put in a bit of a difficult position as the closer, after you've already heard from the spectacular Joyce Kulhawik, Alice Hoffman, and Ann Leary. It's a hard act to follow. The wit and humor of Ann Leary and the wisdom of Alice reading from her book, Survival Lessons, was as good, if not better, than what we would have experienced if we were all together at the ART. At this sad time when we're all feeling the grief and heaviness of the pandemic, this time together lifts our spirits in a feeling of fellowship and community. I do want to take a few minutes to tell you about the Hoffman Breast Center. We're approaching National Breast Center reaccreditation soon, which is done every 3 years. And so we've been reviewing all of our required criteria and assembling the data. As our last surveyor said in her report, we easily meet and exceed every one of the 30 requirements. We offer multidisciplinary care. We have the newest and best technology. We're involved in quality care studies and clinical trials. All of our doctors are board certified. Our nurses have oncology certification. We have a dedicated navigator and very skilled nurse practitioners. All of our programs, including medical oncology, radiation oncology, radiology, and pathology, meet the highest national standards. We have a robust survivorship program, an award-winning genetics program, extensive rehabilitation, reconstruction, wellness services, and social work support. But in the end, what we offer is much more than a checklist of requirements. As Maya Angelou said, I've learned that people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. And this is the real secret to the Hoffman Breast Center. We care for our patients as if they were family or friends, and we treat our colleagues as trusted and valued friends. No matter how busy Dr. Lisa Weissman or Dr. Prudence Lamb, our medical oncologists are, I can call or text them when a new cancer patient needs to be seen, and they will make the time. No matter how busy Dr. Carolyn Lamb or Dr. Tony Abner are, our radiation oncologists, they will make time. No matter how busy women's imaging is, the radiologists always make time to fit another patient in. And no matter how busy our surgical office is, we always make time. And when I finish a visit with a new cancer patient who will need chemotherapy or targeted therapy before surgery, my office manager leaves her desk and personally walks the patient over to the oncology department. We hope that every patient feels that we've given them our undivided attention and that they remember feeling well cared for with a loving touch and great compassion. I would like to thank our host, Joyce Kulhawik, whose input was so integral to making this virtual event and all of our ART events such a success. Over 50 incredibly generous authors have lent their talents to our events over the years. I thank all of them from the bottom of my heart, and I'm so honored to count them all as close friends of the Hoffman Breast Center. Most especially Alice, who's been our champion and driving force for over 20 years now. I also want to thank Diane Paulus and the ART for their generosity over the years, and Jill Karp, Gail Roberts, and Claudia Scott, and the rest of the Pink Pages committee who have tirelessly helped with Pink Pages planning and support. And of course, Jeanette Clough, whose leadership enables our progress. And I thank all of you at home wholeheartedly for your support of our programs. Your philanthropy provides us the opportunity to keep up with the technology and programs we need to provide the best care for our patients. As Maya Angelou also said, if you find it in your heart to care for somebody else, you will have succeeded. If you do wish to make a donation, please go to the Mount Auburn website at mountauburnhospital.org/pinkpages to make your gift online, or you can call our development office. We would love to count you among the others who've shown their support over the years. Virtual events may be the wave of the future, but we hope to be back at the ART in the spring of 2021 and to see you there. As the song goes, we will meet again. Thank you and stay well.